Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's your man Pristine, back with another video. So this video is entitled Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus versus the Samsung Galaxy S10e. What are the differences? Okay, I know a lot of people are straddling the fence, and are having a hard time deciding which one they want to get because they don't know exactly what the differences are. Some people may feel like the better choice is the S10 or the S10 Plus. Some people may feel as though the much more cost-effective, so-called cost-effective choice being the S10e. Now, differences in price: the S10 Plus, $999.99, $1,000. The S10 is $899.99. The S10e here is $749.99. So $750, $900 for the S10, $1,000 for the S10 Plus here. I don't have the S10, so we'll just talk specifically about the S10 Plus and the S10e here. Okay. Now, those are the differences in price. Really quickly, just let's state the obvious. The difference in size. The S10 Plus is a 6.4-inch display. The S10e is a 5.8-inch display, the smaller of the two. And it's interesting because, not that long ago, 5.8 inches was pretty massive, compared to like the 5-inch displays and 5.5-inch displays. 5.5 inches was pretty big, but then, we had the big chins and the big foreheads at the top of phones. But now, we've gotten away from that. And so even though 5.8 is still a pretty big display, in 2019, it's considered a small display because of the fact that we've got these all-screen displays now. And it just seems like nowadays anything below 6 inches is considered a small display. Okay, so 6.4 for the Plus, 5.8 inches for the S10e. Now, another one of the differences: the S10 Plus has a Quad HD dynamic AMOLED display. Okay, the S10e has a Full HD dynamic AMOLED display. So there are two different screen technologies that help that price adjustment there. Okay, Quad HD here, Full HD here. Okay, now another one of the differences: both of these phones have 128 gigs of onboard storage. They have the same internal specs, Snapdragon 855 processor, but the S10 Plus here has 8 gigs of RAM. The S10e only has 6 gigs of RAM. Okay, now, is that noticeable in day-to-day performance? Absolutely not. You know what I mean? Both of these phones perform buttery smooth. I mean, they've got the top of the line specs in them. I mean, they are excellent performers, both of them. Let's see, let me go ahead and connect to my Wi-Fi here just so that we're on the same playing field. Now, I've got my T-Mobile SIM in this one, got my Verizon SIM in this one, but again, I am connected to my Wi-Fi network at my home, and so, your data speeds may vary. But, I mean, as far as a difference in performance, I mean, you're not going to find too much of a difference at all whatsoever. Let's take it to Spotify real quick. Okay, the Plus is having to load things up a little bit, but again, it's still opening extremely fast. I mean, so, performance-wise, either one of these phones that you get your hands on are going to do the job. Definitely more than suitable for the average consumer. The average consumer doesn't even need 6 gigs of RAM. Maybe, 2, 3, 4 gigs of RAM, depending on what you're doing. Now, what all that RAM is doing is for a lot of you guys that like to game on your device and so forth, then that's going to help be able to, render, what I'm saying? I mean, just the game at pretty much like a console type level. You know what I mean? It's gonna, alleviate choppiness and stutters and glitches and stuff like that. But I mean, still, 6 gigs of RAM on the E is gonna provide you a substantial amount of performance, even if you're gaming. You know what I mean? So 8 gigs of RAM really isn't necessary, but it's another difference between these two phones, which is why I have to put it out there for you guys. Okay, but for the I feel like for the average consumer, 6 gigs of RAM is too much for the average consumer. You know what I mean? So the fact that you've got 6 gigs of RAM here, 8 gigs of RAM there, both of these forms are going to perform buttery smooth. RAM management, I mean, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what you're doing. You can have all kind of applications open in the background, and it just doesn't matter. Both of these phones, they're just going to fly right through everything that you throw at them. Period. You know what I mean? Okay, so we've got Corning Gorilla Glass 6 on the S10 Plus. We've got Corning Gorilla Glass 5 on the S10e. And actually, on the S10 Plus, we've only got Corning Gorilla Glass 6 on the front. Okay? The glass on the back of the S10 Plus is Corning Gorilla Glass 5. Okay, so we've only got Gorilla Glass 6 on the front. The whole S10 Plus device and the S10 is not all cased in Corning Gorilla Glass 6 on the front and back. You've got Gorilla Glass 6 on the front, Gorilla Glass 5 on the back. Now the S10e here, you've got Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and the back. Okay, so that is another difference. All right, now another one of the, well, maybe it's not so much of an obvious difference because of the fact that you've got these hole punch cutouts. And let me turn off dark mode so we can see that. Okay, so as you can tell here on the Plus, we've got a dual front-facing camera. On the S10e, we only have a single front-facing camera. Now, don't get this confused, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, the secondary lens on the S10 Plus is an 8 megapixel depth sensor. We do not have that 8 megapixel depth sensor on the S10 or the S10e, but the primary front-facing camera is a 10 megapixel sensor. That is the same across all 3 of the devices. Okay, so picture quality as far as selfies and everything like that is concerned are going to be standard across the board with either one of these devices, so it does not matter. So don't think just because you chose the E that when it comes to photography that there's a drop off in the camera department, because there's not. The only thing that the S10e and the S10 is lacking is that secondary 8 megapixel depth sensor, which is only housed here on the S10 Plus. Okay, now if you swing the devices around to the back, okay, you'll see on the S10 Plus we've got a triple camera system. On the S10e, we've got a dual camera system. Okay, on the S10 Plus, we've got a 12 megapixel wide angle primary sensor, a 12 megapixel telephoto lens, and a 16 megapixel ultra wide sensor. Okay, on the S10e, we have that same 12 megapixel primary wide angle lens and the same 16 megapixel ultra wide angle lens. But on the E, we don't have the 12 megapixel telephoto lens, which means that under your camera app, you're not going to have the ability to take advantage of the 2x optical zoom. Is that a big deal? Hell no. That's not a big deal at all whatsoever, because the 2 primary sensors that are on this phone, which is the wide angle and the ultra wide angle, are still the same across the board on all the devices. So the S10e has the same primary wide angle 12 megapixel sensor and the same secondary ultra wide angle 16 megapixel sensor. So again, you're not getting any drop off as far as camera quality if you decide to go with the E over the S10 Plus or the S10. The only thing that you're not getting is that 12 megapixel telephoto sensor. And it's just you just don't have the ability to take advantage of the 2x optical zoom. Is that a big deal, ladies and gentlemen? Not to me. That is not a big deal to me at all whatsoever. So again, I mean, the reason for this video is because I'm like, okay, the difference in cost, like I said, I mean, the S10e being $750, the S10 being $900, and then the S10 Plus being $1,000. If you decide to go with the S10e, or even if you decide to pick one or the other, whether it be the S10 or the S10 Plus, ask yourself, considering what the S10e is offering, the S10e is the same device. There's no drop off really. I mean, the only thing that I've seen that some people may consider significant is the fact that the E doesn't have the secondary 8 megapixel depth sensor camera on the front, and it doesn't have the 12 megapixel telephoto lens. I mean, you know, it having 6 gigs of RAM versus 8, not a big deal to me. Not a big deal to me. So the reason for putting this video together, ladies and gentlemen, is because I want you guys to think to yourselves, does the S10 or the S10 Plus, are the differences over the E, does it warrant the extra money that you're going to have to pay if you decide to go with one of the other two devices over the S10e, considering that the S10e is the most cost-effective device at $750. And there's all kind of promotions and things going on with the S10e right now. Verizon, they've got a promotion. If you buy the S10 or the S10 Plus, you get the S10e for free. And that was what I was able to take advantage of here, which is why I've got both devices. You know, I was able to get both devices and still stay under the amount of money that I wanted to pay. You know what I mean? So it was a win-win for me, because I get to display both the devices here and put this video together for you guys explaining the differences, because there's a lot of people kind of straddling the fence as to what the differences are and should they choose the E. A lot of people want to choose the E because it's the least expensive one, but they don't really know too much about it, so they'll end up spending more and they may not necessarily have to. All right. Now, I mean, as far as that, if we go back to the display, again, both of these displays are Super AMOLED displays. Samsung, come on, these are Samsung-made displays. You know what I'm saying? We got the dual AKG tuned speakers at the top and the bottom on all three devices, and they all sound amazing. Okay. Now, another one of the differences, battery life. Here in the S10 Plus, we've got a 4100 milliamp hour battery, as opposed to in the S10e, we've got a 3100 milliamp hour battery. Now, again, battery usage is going to be depending on how you use your device. Me, I haven't had a problem getting through a full day on either one of these devices. Okay, mind you, that new Snapdragon 855 processor is more geared towards power efficiency and battery sustainability. Okay, so I've gotten excellent battery life out of both of these devices. Now, I can't say that the S10e has the battery sustainability that the iPhone XR has, because we know that the iPhone XR is just a complete battery beast. But depending on how you use your device, you know what I'm saying, the S10e is going to be able to get you through a full day and some, if not a day and a half, depending on how you use your device. Now, me, I'm a more light to moderate user, which is why I'm able to have the battery sustainability that I have. And, you know, I just use phones for what they're typically used for. I talk on them, I text, maybe a little bit of social media, you know, on my lunch breaks and things, you know, or if, you know, one of my partners, you know, send me a YouTube video, or if I'm surfing YouTube looking for, you know, some information on a phone or something, I may watch a couple of videos, stuff like that, you know. But the way that I use my device, it's not draining my battery completely. I don't game on my phone. I don't watch Netflix or Hulu or stuff like that on my phone. And so I don't have to worry about all those kind of things. But we do have the fast charging technology, Type-C reversible connection on both of these devices. Both of these devices are also fast wireless charge compatible. Okay, Bluetooth 5.0, Dolby Atmos surround sound, AKG tuned. They both have 3.5 millimeter headphone jacks with a 32-bit 384 kilohertz audio DAC inside of them, and it sounds really good. I've tested it in my car and with the AKG headphones that come with both of these devices. They're both IP68 water and dust resistant. Another one of the differences too, under the settings, I found that well, if we go to display, okay, where is it at? Okay, I found that on the S10 Plus, when you go to screen resolution, it gives you the ability to choose, and it comes by default on full HD, but then you have the ability to scale it up to quad HD or scale it down to 720. On the S10e, I wasn't able to find that option. I thought, even though this is not a quad HD display on the E, it's a full HD display, I thought that you would still have the ability to scale from 1080 down to 720. You know what I mean? But I'm not finding that here on the E. So I think that that's another thing about the S10e that you're not able to take advantage of, just because of the fact that it's not a quad HD display. It's a full HD AMOLED, dynamic AMOLED panel. All right, now another one of the difference being, both of these phones, they have fingerprint sensors, but the fingerprint sensor they have fingerprint sensors and facial recognition. Now, the fingerprint sensor, well, God, I'm trying to hide my face because facial recognition is turned on. I'll just pick up the device. The fingerprint sensor for the S10 Plus is under the display. Okay, it's an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. So you just place your thumb on it and it's going to open up the device. Okay, so you've got this under the display fingerprint sensor on the S10 and the S10 Plus here. Okay, now on the S10e, the fingerprint sensor is right here on the side. This is the home button, and it doubles as the home button and the fingerprint sensor. And it is lightning fast, ladies and gentlemen. So you barely tap it and your device is open. Okay. Now I like the fact that we do have the double tap feature. Tap, tap, opens up, scans your face, and it just opens right up just like that. Now, I'm a fan of the side-mounted fingerprint sensor. The only issue that I have with it on the E is that it's too doggone high. It's like, why would Samsung put it all the way up here? So again, even though the S10e, I mean, it's a 5.8-inch display, it's the smaller of the three phones that were released. Most people, when they hold their device in their hand, if they hold it like this, their thumb is going to be like right here in the middle of the side. So it's like, why not bring that down a little bit? I mean, so in order to reach it, you're going to have to kind of wedge your hand up, which can be awkward to, for a lot of people. Now, under the settings, you do have the ability to turn on a feature where if you don't want to use your finger to bring down the notification shade and get to your quick toggles, then you can just simply swipe down on the fingerprint sensor and then swipe up to bring up the notification shade if you just want to navigate your phone all with one hand. Okay, so you have the ability to do that, but that's the difference with the fingerprint display or the fingerprint sensor. So on the S10 and the S10 Plus, it's the ultrasonic under the display fingerprint sensor. On the S10e, you've got your fingerprint sensor on the side here. And I have to say that the S10e's fingerprint sensor is much faster than it is on the S10 and the S10 Plus. Okay, you can see, again, barely tap it and it just opens right up. And like I said, the facial recognition, double tap, hold up the phone, and it just opens just like that. I mean, so both the facial recognition and the fingerprint sensor on the S10e, lightning fast. All right, now, again, facial recognition for the Plus, double tap, and it's also very quick. But I can't say that the fingerprint sensor is as quick. It's quick, but it's not as quick as the fingerprint sensor on the S10e. All right. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I mean, those are really the only differences, between these devices that I can see, difference in size. The E doesn't have the front-facing camera sensor, the 8-megapixel depth sensor, or the 12-megapixel telephoto lens on the back. But again, the cameras are the exact same. The primary wide angle, the ultra wide angle 16 megapixel, the exact same. The 10 megapixel front facing sensor is the exact same as it is on the S10 and the S10 Plus. All the features, functions, all that stuff is the same. And with the S10e, you could actually, there's more color combinations that you can get with the S10e as well. And so those of you that are big on wanting to have your device be a different color, then you have that ability if you decide to go with the E over the S10 and the S10 Plus. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I've got for this video. You already know, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to expose yourself to tons of more videos that I've done like this one. Definitely stay tuned for the dedicated camera review and the full pristine review that's going to be coming at you real soon. Be sure to hit that notification bell so that when those videos go live, along with other videos that I do, you can get that notification that they dropped. Check them out. Get down in the comment section. Let me know what you think about what you saw. Hit me with any questions, comments, feedbacks of any kind, and I'll do my best to answer you guys on YouTube or in future videos that I'm planning on doing for not just these two devices, but a lot of other devices that I got coming in as well. All right, so thanks for stopping by and checking out the video. And you guys already know, please stay safe, get spiritually fit. We're definitely living in the last days, and keep it pristine in every aspect of your lives. This is the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. This is the Samsung Galaxy S10e. I'm your man, Pristine, the host, bringing the content. Peace. We out.